This podcast is brought to you by iPlayHockey.ca. iPlay is the leading hockey insurance provider to coaches, camp instructors, spring and summer hockey leagues, and tournaments across Canada. If you need insurance for hockey, iPlay has you covered. iPlay also provides hockey players and coaches with a wide range of free tools, drills, and skills in their drill vault to enhance on-ice performance, and they provide crucial off-ice knowledge as well. So if you need insurance for a hockey team, league, or camp, or if you just want to teach your kids some new drills, head on over to iPlayHockey.ca and check out their new website.
What's up, everybody? Welcome to episode 259 of the Boys in the Booth podcast. Cody Abrams and Melbourne with you for this one. And before we get into just a banger of a Core 4 story segment for this episode, let's talk a little NHL fantasy stars here, boys. How was your week?
I hate to say it, but I'm finally have been dethroned so far this week. I don't know, unless Chandler Stevenson puts up like 4 goals tonight, I don't think it's going to happen. So Chad finally beat me. I had a couple just stinker nights. I blame the NHL's scheduling, as always. Couple nights where I just didn't have the right guys playing. And then, you know, like a Thursday night, I have just countless studs I could put in the lineup. But I mean, you only have so many spots. So just didn't work out for me this week in terms of scheduling, and I'll be back next week, back on top.
Yeah, well, Case, you said it. I don't want to count my chickens before they hatch, but as long as everything goes well for the remainder of the night here, it's already almost 9 o'clock. If things go well for the rest of the night, I will have my first NHL Fantasy Stars win. Harper, you did better this week. You were actually playing. You were in the country. You were engaged. But you were no match for my team this week after Casey showed me how to train players and, sell players and whatnot. So, yeah, I've been having a blast with this app. We've got all of our buddies onto it. Like, we're all just, you can play directly against us so you can see, like, where everybody is seated and stuff. So this is great. I did learn that Casey's fiance has beaten me a couple of these weeks, so this is not
hey, there we go.
Good news, but
she's gotten.
But
so
I got my
win.
So.
Way to go, Rebecca! Awesome.
Yeah.
I was able to this week pick up my first All-Star player, so a purple player, as Panarin, and I got him in a base pack, which has a 1% chance of getting a purple player. So pretty thrilled about that. I'm gonna keep slinging those out and see if I can get another one.
That is crazy. I've still got some coins to spend, Case, so I'm coming for you next week as well. So that's the game plan. And just to wrap it up here, NHL Fantasy Stars is back for this season again. It's a free-to-play daily fantasy hockey game that lets you relive the excitement of ripping open packs and collecting gold, silver, base, and ultra-rare all-star cards, those purple ones that Case was talking about. Play anytime on Apple or Google Play and compete against us, the Boys in the Booth, all season long. Scan the QR code or click the link below to download to claim your free pack today. Again, that's NHL Fantasy Stars. You can download on Apple or Google Play. Let's get into Core 4 stories, boys, because this is going to be a good one.
Let's do it.
Core 4. Core 4. Core 4.
Core 4.
Core 4. Core 4. Core 4 is Core 4.
Core 4.
All right, fellas, Core 4 stories for episode 259, and we are starting with the bomb drop that we had on Friday night. Totally out of the blue, the trade between the Minnesota Wild and the Vancouver Canucks. The Wild picking up Quinn Hughes, one of the best defensemen in the National Hockey League, arguably the second best defenseman in the NHL, picking him up from the Vancouver Canucks for Marco Rossi, Liam Ogren, Zeev Boyum, and a first-round pick in 2026. I should note, Hughes with a goal in his Wild debut. As we are recording this, they're just pounding the heck out of the Boston Bruins. That game might be over now, but he has a goal in his Minnesota debut. Zeev Boyum, guys, with a goal and an assist. Yep. In his Canucks debut in a win over the Devils. Sorry, Case, but certainly good to see there. So thoughts on this deal, boys? This was a big one that went down on Friday night to kick off the weekend.
I went through so many emotions, so many different emotions when I saw this trade pop up, like shock that it happened out of nowhere, kind of, then disappointment that it's not with the Devils, and then kind of a reassurance and a I brought it back around and thought, you know what? I feel like this makes it more likely that he becomes a Devil in 2027 through free agency. And I'm fine with that. I don't think the Devils are going to win the cup this year, the way things are looking, even if you bring in Quinn Hughes. So bide my time. I'll let them get rid of a few contracts and bring in Quinn on the free. And I think the return, I don't know if it was quite what I was expecting, but I think it's close enough in the position that they're in where the league knows that Quinn Hughes wants out. The trade was going to happen. They're kind of backs against the wall. And I think if they did the trade with New Jersey, no matter what return they got, everyone would have said that they were strong-armed by Hughes and the fact that he wants to play with his brothers. So it makes sense to go to a different team for this kind of 2-year rental situation. And why not the Minnesota Wild? Guerin has showed that he's willing to make the big swings now, and he's already brought in or paid a guy $17 million to try to win a cup this year. So it makes a ton of sense to move on from some young guys and bring in a stud like Quinn Hughes, make that push.
Yeah, Case, I'm glad you brought up, the fact that the conversation now has shifted to, okay, where is Quinn Hughes going to sign in a couple years? Is he going to be re-upped in Minnesota, or is he going to go play with his brothers in New Jersey? So it is a very interesting conversation, and I'm just looking at Minnesota's cap space right now on Puckpedia, and for the 27-28 season, when Quinn Hughes is going to be up and expecting a new deal, they're projected to have $48 million in cap space, Case, when the cap is 113 million. So does that scare you at all?
No, doesn't scare me.
Even with Billy G, willing to dole out just cash hand over fist, $20 million I bet this guy gets on his next deal if it's in Minnesota, because he has to make more than Kirill the Thrill. But yeah, talking about the deal, guys, like out of nowhere entirely. And yeah, to piggyback off what you said, Case, about, not dealing with New Jersey in this case, if you're Jim Rutherford, I compared it when we were talking over the weekend sort of to Brad Tree Living and not being able to make a deal with Calgary, because if you're Calgary, or in this case, Vancouver, you don't want it to be seen like you're at the mercy of another team. You don't want it to be easy for another team where this player is, rumored to go forever. So yeah, I feel like even if the package from New Jersey was equivalent, which, by the way, I don't think it was. It sounds like Nemec was the centerpiece. We don't really know the extent of what the total offer was there, but it sounds like it was Nemec. And I mean, you can say who you prefer, but I think I prefer Bouillon to Nemec as the centerpiece. And then, who knows what the other pieces are there. But even if the package was similar, I feel like Minnesota probably still would have won out here, because Rutherford and management in Vancouver didn't want to be seen as, weak and having their hand forced in a deal with New Jersey. That's kind of how I looked at it. Anyways.
Yeah. This podcast is sponsored by SeatGeek, the absolute best ticket app out there. SeatGeek takes the confusion out of buying tickets, making it quick and easy to get the best deals to tickets at your favorite sporting event. SeatGeek does this awesome thing where they score each ticket out of 10 based on its value, so you know whether you're getting a good or a bad deal. Last time I got tickets to see the Devils play, I first saw red tickets. I waited it out, monitored the price in-app, and once I saw green, I pulled the trigger. SeatGeek makes it that easy. And here's the best part. SeatGeek has completely hooked us up. Boys in the Booth listeners get $20 off their first purchase on SeatGeek with the promo code BOYSINTHEBOOTH in all caps. Click the link in our description to download the app, and remember to get your discounted tickets using the code BOYSINTHEBOOTH in all caps. Get great seats for a fraction of the cost with SeatGeek.
Yeah, I love this deal personally for both sides. Obviously Minnesota gets one of the best talents in the National Hockey League, and they are a contender now. I mean, they were already looking like a contender before acquiring Quinn Hughes. And you look at that Central Division, you've got Colorado and Dallas, who are just absolute juggernauts, and Minnesota is saying, hey, we're here too. And you gotta love Bill Guerin. Like, just some of the quotes from this weekend, so good. He was
So
like, "Well, do you want the honest answer of what I was doing when Jim called? I was making meatballs for my Christmas Eve dinner." And that's just great. And I like what he said too. You know, he talked about you can go and play in a nice sunny place and the taxes are good and all that, but in Minnesota, seems like they've got a good culture. They're winning. It's a hockey crazy market, and I wouldn't rule out a possible long-term marriage here between Hughes and the Wild if it goes well. Things can always change, although I know what you're saying, Case. I mean, the Devils thing is certainly very likely, but I wouldn't rule out, you know, a long-term setup here between Hughes and the Minnesota Wild. And then for Vancouver, I think they get 3 really good quality young players. Boyum, obviously at the forefront of this. I'm a big fan of his guys. He's got all the tools to be a number 1 defenseman in the NHL. I truly believe that. Watched him at the World Juniors last year in Ottawa on Team USA, and he was their best player on the ice. Just the skating and everything. And so that is a really good guy that Vancouver is getting to kind of be the centerpiece of this deal. And now they've got a couple of first-round picks this year, and all they have to do is not trade one of those first-rounders for short-term help. So I love the deal for both sides, and boy, oh boy, it was a shocker on Friday night.
Yeah, and now it's Vancouver picking a direction, right? Because
that's right.
Even when, you know, they traded out Bo Horvat, or when they traded JT Miller, or, you know, the list goes on of moves that they've sort of made around the edges, trying to, you know, recreate that season they had a few years ago where they were dynamite. It just seems like they were kind of floundering, and they were never going to get that magic back with this group. So now they've chosen a clear direction. They're rebuilding. They might try to do it fast. It might be considered a retool to some, but at the end of the day, that's what they're doing here by trading Quinn Hughes. They're signaling to the fan base, hey, it's not good enough. This guy didn't want to stay here. We knew that. And we're taking our chances by trying to get younger and trying to get better in the future. So I don't blame them at all for trying to get value back for an asset that, like, let's be honest, guys, was likely just going to walk at the end of his contract. So yeah, instead of getting Nick Waugh in return, like the Leafs did for Mitch Marner 5 minutes before he went out the door for nothing, they get a heck of a haul for a player that wasn't going to stay. So yeah, I think Vancouver did a lot better than people are giving them credit for in the circumstances that they were in. Not saying that people are, you know, saying that Vancouver did terribly or anything, but I think they did really, really well here. Like, Rossi is a legit top 6 player. Like, Ogren hasn't had the greatest season points wise, but you know, he's a talented player as well. And Boyum projects to be a potential number 1. So it's I like the haul that they got. I really do.
Goal and an assist in his Canucks debut. Looks pretty good already.
Yeah, that's right.
And again, this is Rutherford's MO, right? Like to get business done early. So yeah, you know, good on the Canucks for being proactive here, and they got 4 pieces that all are equivalent to first round picks for this player. So I like it for both sides.
Let's give grades for each side here. What do you guys think?
A+ for the Minnesota Wild, and
yeah.
A- for the Vancouver Canucks.
I'm good with that.
I kind of feel the exact same way. Like, Vancouver, every time you trade away the best player in a deal, you know, you might lose the trade. It's tough. It's tough. But they're taking some chances here with some pretty good players with some high pedigree. So, yeah, I think A- is probably fine for Vancouver.
If Boyum wasn't a part of this deal, I think it would the grade would be different for Vancouver for me.
Yeah, well, who would be the, like, of course, like, who would
be
the
that wasn't part of this deal? I think the grade would have been pretty bad for the Wild.
That's an F for the Wild if it's, you know, not Quinn Hughes. Well, what would be the alternative? It had to be Boyum, I think.
Yeah. I mean, I not really sure who else it would be, but just saying, like, if he wasn't a part of this deal, then gosh, it wouldn't look too good for Vancouver. So
Did you guys see Brock Faber's friends apparently reached out to him and were like, angry, read into
yes.
that what you will, like maybe it's jokingly, but saying, hey, you just got bumped off the first power play, bud. Like, how do you feel? Like, that's tough. And his response was, basically, we just got Quinn Hughes, like pretty good player. So
Yeah, I mean, who knows how Brock Faber actually feels about it internally, but he makes them better and makes the Wild a contender. So there we go. All right, guys, another trade that went down on Friday, not as big as that one, of course, but still big in other contexts. Tristan Jarry going from the Pittsburgh Penguins to the Edmonton Oilers, former Edmonton Oil King, of course, with former first-round pick Sam Poulin in exchange for Stuart Skinner, Brett Kulak, and a second-round pick in 2029. No salary retention here. Jarry does get a win in his Oilers debut, 6-3 over the Leafs on Saturday. Sorry, Chad. So thoughts on this deal, guys? Is this an upgrade for the Oilers or not?
I think it's probably an upgrade, but I think this is going to be one of those time will tell situations. We've talked ad nauseum about Edmonton's defense situation and how I don't even know if you can put all the blame on Stuart Skinner, but it had to go somewhere and it went to him and it was time to move on from him. So I think this trade made a lot of sense. I think Jarry's probably the best goalie they could have got within their means of assets. I know Saros was brought up a number of times, but he's going to cost a lot more, I think, at the end of the day. And just making it more of a player swap and adding pieces on makes a lot of sense here. You don't want Skinner to be sitting on the bench. I think it's just going to add some contention there and make things awkward in the dressing room. So him going back the other way, love that. Upgrade in Edmonton, but I think that Pittsburgh's going to be very happy with this return.
Yeah, I think if you're Pittsburgh, I mean, getting Brett Kulak on top of a pick, on top of a goalie of, similar type value, who's still young, who is, being taken out of the spotlight in Edmonton and can kind of just relax and maybe grow a bit in Pittsburgh. I like the return a lot more for Pittsburgh than I do Edmonton. But at the same time, Edmonton needed something different and they needed to go out and get a guy to just change things up, to appease the powers that be that are 97 and 29 up front, who are like, guys, we need a save. Like at the end of the day, we need a save. But Case, I'm glad you brought up the environment in Edmonton because, yeah, it worries me. I think Jarry could potentially get exposed a little bit more in Edmonton than in Pittsburgh. Because just looking at it on Money Puck right now, and I know this is a very simplified stat, but it kind of tells a bit of a story. Expected goals against in the league right now, Edmonton is 7th worst in the NHL. That means there are 6 worse environments in the NHL than Edmonton right now in terms of if you're a goalie, how difficult the shots coming at you are, like where they're coming from in terms of expected goals. So it's more difficult to play in Columbus, Anaheim, on the island, in Vancouver, Boston, and San Jose. Like those are 6 teams that you don't want to play goalie for. And Edmonton there at number 7 is tough. So I wonder if Jarry gets exposed. We know that he's been up and down his entire career. I don't know which guy I like. They're both like more rather between Skinner or Jarry. They're both kind of projects, I think, at this point. Like I think Jarry's highs are higher. But I think his lows are probably lower too. So I don't know. It's an interesting one. We'll see if it pans out. It worked in game 1 against the Maple Leafs, but I mean, we've seen it before. Like you could put a Zamboni driver in net and you could still beat the Leafs. So it doesn't really matter.
Oh, geez. It definitely is a gamble for the Oilers, but it was time. I mean, it became a bit of an untenable situation, and Skinner just being heavily scrutinized, in the media, and again, being from Edmonton, being on the Oilers, being in that spotlight, playing that difficult position. I think you add all those things up, and he was playing better as of late. The Oilers are starting to go a bit as of late here, but you look at the overall body of work so far this season, and it just hasn't been good enough. So totally see the reason why they did it. And I'm glad you guys brought up the blue line and the numbers there, because the defending on the Oilers is definitely a problem. And they give up Brett Kulak in this deal to make the money work, but he's one of their best defensemen. Like, you look at their last couple of playoff runs, he ends up being a top 4 guy, playing with Darnell Nurse and playing around 20 minutes a night. So they lose him. They send a 3rd-round pick in 2027 to Nashville for Spencer Stastny, who they are saying is kind of like Kulak light. We'll see. But you could argue that their blue line just got worse while they tried to address the goaltending here. BetterHelp is the paid partner of this video. The new year is a blank space for you to write a new story. BetterHelp makes it more convenient to get you started. BetterHelp is fully online, making therapy more comfortable and convenient. They carefully make sure therapists on the platform are well qualified, and their customer support team is there to help you if you have any questions. With over 7,000 reviews and a 4.5 rating on Trustpilot, BetterHelp is a platform you can trust. Your next chapter starts today. Get 10% off your first month of BetterHelp online therapy at betterhelp.com/boysinthebooth in paid partnership with BetterHelp.
I was laughing because it's true. Like, Kulak is a good defenseman. He's a defensive guy who can make a good first pass. Like, you need those types. And so now they're down him. They waived Troy Stetcher, who has been incredible for the Maple Leafs. Like,
Yes.
honestly, has been playing more minutes than anyone else on the back end for the Leafs. And, I know they're banged up and whatnot, but he's looked legit. And you think, yeah, Edmonton could probably use a guy like that still. So, yeah, they're down 2 of their top 6 D, and now they have a different goalie, and defense is already an issue. So I don't know. It could be bad for Jari there, but different, I think, is what was necessary. They needed
They've got
to do
the
something
bucket
different.
in the boat trying to bail the water out, but they're throwing it over their shoulder into a different part of the boat. It's just like
Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
That's a good way to put it. Oh, yeah. And I will say, like really happy for Jari this year after a tough couple of years. He has really had a resurgence this year. So good for him, and we'll see if it works in Edmonton, and good return for Pittsburgh. I agree. Yeah. Absolutely.
Last thing, Jari has a 908 right now, and he's sitting in 14th in the NHL in terms of goal saved above expected on Money Puck. So not too bad, not too shabby.
No, not too bad at all. Okay, guys, next item we're going to get to here involves the Buffalo Sabres, who, as we are recording this, are playing in Seattle. And there were some reports that came out before the weekend that when they return from this road trip, that this could be it for Kevin Adams, that we could see a GM change coming. The organization has had internal discussions, it's being reported, about making a general manager change. Jarmo Kekalainen, currently in that senior advisor role right now with the Sabres, has made a strong impression on the organization. This is year 6 for Kevin Adams. And so before I kind of go on a rant about this, you guys jump in first, obviously, and just give your thoughts on this.
Yeah, I don't know if I have too much to say about this. I'll probably let Harp take it away, but I will say I don't know if this is the guy who needs to be out, or the people that need to be out. I think it's a little further up the totem pole, but we've talked about
ownership. We've talked about ownership a lot, but Case, I do think that Kevin Adams is a guy who has needed to go for a long time here. So, Harp, I think you feel the same way. A lot of the moves that he's made over the past few years have been perplexing, to say the least. And they have so many good players, but have not been able to put together a good team. So it doesn't make any sense. And Adams has contributed to that by some of his weird moves. So what do you think about it, Harp? I think it's time, honestly.
It is. It's beyond time for this to happen. Absolutely. It has to stop. All they've done is regress since falling 1 point short of a playoff spot. Excuse me. 3 years ago, all they've done is regress. 91 points that year. 84 the next, 79 points last year. And last year really sticks out to me in terms of Kevin Adams' tenure in Buffalo on a couple of different fronts. He first of all, he is an unexperienced general manager and was kind of thrusted into this role prematurely. Beforehand, he was the VP of business operations or something or other. And the first thing Terry Pegula had him do was get rid of 25 people in the hockey department. So this probably needs to the guy who probably needs to go here is Terry Pegula. I get what you're saying there, Case. The problem is you can't trade your owner. And unless Pegula chooses to step down, that there's going to be no change at the top. But there needs to be a change at the general manager position. And again, going back to last season, a couple of things where Adams really showed his inexperience. Number one, how do you not make a move during a 13-game winless streak? No waiver claims, no call-ups or send-downs, no trades, nothing. And then you have the famous press conference where he talks about Buffalo not being a destination. And we have taxes, we don't have palm trees, that sort of thing. And then next thing you know, Sabres fans are showing up to KeyBank Center with blow-up palm trees. So, God. I mean, that's just the tip of the iceberg. And that upset the players. And I think the players have lost a lot of trust in this general manager. The market and the fan base is clearly done with this general manager. And I'm sorry, I don't blame them. I will say Adams has done some good things, like Josh Doan has been a terrific addition. And if you look at that JJ Peterka trade, they get Doan and Kesselring. With the numbers that Doan has put up compared to Peterka's, it's pretty close. You could argue that right now, that could look like a pretty good 1-for-1. So that's great. But, again, it's looking at, did they get enough for Eichel? Probably not. Sam Reinhart, definitely not. And the list goes on. Again, acquiring a player like Josh Norris, who is extremely injury prone, giving Ottawa a second-round pick as well on top of Dylan Cousins for Norris, and then Bernard Docker, who you didn't even qualify in the offseason. Just, we could go on and on. Also, what is the plan with Devin Levi? Like, I could go on all day here, fellas, but it is high time, and I think that this move would reinstill some hope in the players, some hope in the fan base. And if you decide to put Jarmo Kekalainen in that role, which I believe would happen if Adams, were to be out here, and could be as soon as early this week, at least you have a guy that has a ton of experience. And fellas, this is also crazy too. If they go in that direction, it would only be the third time in the organization's history that they would have a general manager with prior GM experience, not a first-time GM.
Wow.
Isn't that wild?
Yeah, well, it's because Pegula hires his buddies. He hires people he knows. No, seriously, though. Like, it's been a glaring issue for the longest time. And I don't know, like, is Jarmo Kekalainen someone that inspires a ton of confidence in you or a team? Like, I get that he has experience, but man, like, were those Columbus teams ever that good under him? I don't think so.
They at least were able.
Their tax accountant that he's the other option he's planning on making GM.
I think they should hire Brendan Shanahan. He should redo the entire front office, start from scratch. Pagula should sell the team. They should move it to Hamilton. Okay, maybe I'm going too far.
For God's
maybe
sake.
I'm going too far, but I do think the Brendan Shanahan thing, where we heard rumors about that a couple months ago, I think that would make a ton of sense, because what he did in Toronto to turn around an absolute joke of a franchise, as it was at the time, into something that was respected, and I could see it working.
This organization, they need leadership. They need experienced leadership from the top down, and they've got a lot of important business coming. Like, guys, it's December and you still don't have a contract extension done yet for Alex Tuch. You cannot afford to lose a player like that who grew up loving the team, loving the organization, rooting for the Sabres, and you cannot have a desperate Kevin Adams at the trade deadline. You just can't, making moves. You cannot have it. And on top of Alex Tuch, you've got other important pieces that you have to deal with as well. Josh Doan, who I think right now, safe to say that he should get a long-term extension. You have to deal with Benson and Kesselring too. And again, I think it would instill some hope again in this organization, because if Adams somehow gets an extension and these reports are all for nothing, then you can say goodbye to Alex Tuch. You can say goodbye to Tage Thompson. You can say goodbye to Rasmus Dahlin. And this whole shit show is starting over again. So there you have it.
They haven't made the playoffs in 15 years, and they're in dead last in the league right now. Again, how? How?
Well, not dead last in the league, dead last in the Eastern Conference.
In the East,
but
what the hell is the difference? It doesn't matter. It does not matter. And yeah, you can laugh at me and say, "Oh, the Leafs are only a few points ahead of." It's it's been 15 years of not even mediocrity. It's been just terrible for 15 years.
And look, it's still a long season. Things could always turn around, and you look at the standings and
they're done, man. They're done.
No, I know that's what I'm trying to say. It's they're only 6 points out of a wild card or whatever, but they've really never been in the race from the get-go.
They're done.
So,
and how are you going to keep guys when you can't ice a team that is competitive?
That's why you have to make a big move like this, and you have to, because it's going to take some convincing to have some of these guys stick around. Anyway, that's all I have on that front, fellas.
Here's the last thing I'll say about Buffalo. It's you look at the Atlantic, and Montreal has gone through a full-fledged rebuild, and they have taken steps now. Ottawa has taken steps. Detroit has gotten a lot better and taken steps. Toronto, Tampa, Florida, Boston, they're all kind of still there. Buffalo's the only team who hasn't taken a single step aside from that year where they missed the playoffs by 1 point. And it's just it's not
miserable effing point.
That's not how hockey teams operate, though. It's just, I don't know. And so you think to yourself, it's I wonder what the standings will be this year. It's check in any time during the season. Where are the Sabres last? It's just not
I know.
I don't know. It's crazy.
I know.
And anyway, I'm sorry to do it to you. I'm not trying
No, it's okay. But
wound.
I tell you,
sorry.
I tell you, and I don't want to, I bash on anybody here, but it's time. And if this move goes down as soon as early this week, I'll be cracking open a beer, because it's time. And just do something, make a decision. Anyway, that's enough of that. All right, last item here, fellas, for Core 4. Jacob Fowler of the Montreal Canadiens, considered their goaltender of the future. How about his NHL debut on Thursday? I know Montreal has kind of been struggling as of late, but 36 saves and the win in his debut on Thursday against the Pittsburgh Penguins. And how cool is this? He joins Dryden, Waugh, and Price, who all made their NHL debuts with the Montreal Canadiens against the Pittsburgh Penguins. How cool is that? And Fowler, pretty impressive kid.
Yeah. I read the other day that he's the first goalie in the NHL from Florida. And I thought that was the most random stat of the day.
Really?
And,
That is shocking to me, honestly. That's
me too.
But okay. Yeah, no, that's a cool thing to bring up with him and Price and who was it, Dryden
and Patrick Waugh. They all made their debuts against Pittsburgh.
And I saw Sid played in the same game, or the game when Price played and when Fowler played. So I thought that was pretty cool too. So but yeah, I mean, it sucks that they had to go there and bring this kid up. Like Montembeault and Dobesh have been, unplayable at times, both of them throughout this season. Dobesh started out really hot, and then if you guys remember, I think he won like 6 in a row or something, and then he lost his first game, and he almost broke down into tears in the dressing room. And it seems like since then he hasn't been the same. So I don't know, like maybe like he's clearly a very good goalie. I wonder if he's just, struggling to develop the mental side of the game and the how difficult it is to, consistently compete at the NHL level, so I'm sure he'll snap back and be fine going forward. And same with Montembeault. Like, he's a good goalie, maybe not as good as Team Canada, but he's still a capable goalie, and he'll snap back to it here. It is troubling that they had to bring up Fowler because, you talk to most goalie guys around the league and they'll tell you that the proven track record to become a good, solid NHL starter is to play 150 plus games in the minors before you get called up. And without those 150 games where you just live in the AHL and you don't go up and down, like bounce up and down, back and forth, like that's where the real development happens. And the goalies who do that reliably turn into like solid NHL goalies. So I mean, it sucks that they had to, break glass in this emergency, but I mean, listen, he's a good goalie, and if he's capable now, then I guess why not? Like, you just wonder if it's harming his development. That's all. So, but solid in his first win for sure.
Regardless of the situation, and Chad, totally get what you're saying. Surprising that they went to this move, bit of a desperate move, excuse me, but a nice little glimpse into the future in terms of the Canadians' goaltending for sure. All right, that wraps it up for Core 4 Stories, folks, for episode 259. And of course, last week we projected out our roster for Team Canada at the upcoming Olympics in Italy. And now we will do the same for Team USA, taking a look at that. And we're going to do it the exact same way that we did last week. So, Case, glad to have you on for that. And let's get into it here, taking a look at Team USA. And of course, that is the Four Nations face-off roster. And looking forward to projecting out this Team USA roster. So let's get it going.
Okay, well, I'll just kind of tee it up here because we've got it shared on the screen. So for anybody watching, you get the added benefit of seeing us, edit in real time here as we place the players actually on the roster. But if you are watching, you can see that this is the Four Nations roster that they took last year to that tournament. So up front, Matt Boldy, Kyle Connor, Jack Eichel, Jake Gensel, Jack Hughes, Chris Kreider, Dylan Larkin, Austin Matthews, JT Miller, Brock Nelson, Brady Tkachuk, Matthew Tkachuk, and Vincent Trocheck. On the back end, Brock Faber, Adam Fox, Noah Hannafin, Quinn Hughes, Charlie McAvoy, Jacob Slavin, Zach Werenski, and Jake Sanderson as a late fill-in. And in net, Connor Hellebuck, Jake Ottinger, and Jeremy Swayman. That's the team they took to the Four Nations face-off. We anticipate that it will be very similar at the Olympics, but surely there will be some differences. So what I've done is I've placed every player who has already been named to Team USA already on the team, and you can see that now. So Jack Eichel, Austin Matthews, Brady Matthew Tkachuk, Quinn Hughes, and Charlie McAvoy have all been named to the Olympic roster for Team USA. Guys, you can see on this page here, I have a list of potential players. All the guys highlighted in yellow were not on the Four Nations team. So I figured what we would do, similar to last week, we'll just go one by one and we'll pick players who we think should be on this team, and we'll start. I think it makes sense to start with some of the locks. So who wants to take it away? Case, do you want to start?
Yeah, sure. I kind of broke everything down looking at roster players and then players available. I broke it into absolute locks, almost locks, 4 nation questionables, and then options outside of the 4 nations. So I'll just go right to the well of absolute locks, and I'm going to throw Slavin into that situation.
Absolutely.
I know he's not played many games this year, but in terms of what he brings to the table, I think there's no one like him on this list. He's a complete lockdown defensive defenseman, can trust him 100%. Should have been on the ice covering Connor McDavid, and things would have been different, but I think he's an absolute lock, and there's not much else to say there. Best defensive defenseman in the league.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. Probably the best defensive defenseman in the league, so I have no issue with that one. Harp, you want to go next?
We interrupt this podcast to tell you about one of our favorite partners, Sign Up Expert. If you're a sports bettor, whether brand new, casual, or hardcore, listen very carefully because this ad is for you. Guys, line shopping for the best odds matters, and that's why any profitable sports bettor needs to be using multiple sports books to maximize their profits. Thankfully, there has never been a better time to get signed up, and we are here to connect you with the best promotions industry-wide. When you use our link at signupexpert.com/boysinthebooth, you can get access to all of the top sportsbooks in your region, along with a review of each platform and its unique benefits. Most importantly, all of these sportsbooks have valuable sign-up offers for new users, and when you register through our link, you will automatically receive the top offer at each one, allowing you to start line shopping with an enhanced bankroll. Guys, it's simple. When you use multiple sportsbooks, you ensure that you can always access the best available odds, which is key to successful and profitable sports betting. So, if you want to take advantage of these incredible benefits and support our brand at the same time, please consider signing up for your next sportsbook through our link in the description below, signupexpert.com/boysinthebooth. If you're planning on signing up for a new sportsbook anyways, you might as well use our link and support the boys. So, one more time, that's signupexpert.com/boysinthebooth.
Sure. I will go with another lock, a guy who is expected to be back very soon from injury, and that is Connor Hellebuyck, goaltender for Team USA, Vezina Trophy winning goaltender, of course, projected to be the starter for Team USA here, either him or Jake Ottinger, who I have a feeling will be on this roster too. But yeah, Connor Hellebuyck for me, absolute lock for this team.
Yeah, I think that's an absolute no-brainer. Probably the starter. But I'll go next. I feel like we get the locks out of the way here, and then we get into some real discussion about some of the fringe players. But I'm also going to pick a goalie, and it's because he's been really, really good this year. He's had quite the bounce back, and he was on the 4 Nations team as well. I'm going to go Jeremy Swayman. I think he's an absolute lock for this team. So I guess unless Casey thinks of someone else, I think we've got the goalies wrapped up. As Harper mentioned, Ottinger, I totally agree with that one. Case, anybody else coming out of the woodwork, or are we going with Jake Ottinger here?
I had Sway in the questionables list, but
really,
at the end of the day, I did put him on my team. So, yeah, I guess we'll wrap up goalies, and I'll say Ottinger because those were the 3 I had. And
you had Swayman in questionable, really?
Yeah, I think Hellebuyck and Ottinger were absolute locks. So,
yeah,
fair enough. Harp, next.
I just think that out of the 3 goalies, Swayman was the only one who would be questionable. So I put him in that questionable list. Like, if you had to move on or add a Spencer Knight, or I don't know, there's a number of guys who are available.
Thatcher Demko or Dustin Wolf.
Yeah.
It would be Swayman in the question, but he's going to be
fair. That's fair. I only had Swayman in the locks because he's just been so good this year. I think without him between the pipes in Boston, they might be a lottery team. Like, he's been that good this season. He's been one of the best goalies in the league. But yeah,
third in goal save above expected, but just on his tail is Spencer Knight.
That is true. Yeah, Spencer Knight,
He's been
course.
Fantastic this year.
He really has.
Yeah.
Okay, who's next, Harp?
Okay. I'll go back to the blue line and I'll say Werenski is another lock. I know that Columbus, they've had a bit of a free fall here, but he is so good. And I mean, what a renaissance season for him last year. Was in Norris Trophy conversation, of course, and just a really big part of this blue line. So I think he's one of the guys that go off the board early for sure.
Yeah, totally. Just when he's on the ice, like, controls the play better than most guys in the league, honestly. Like, the resurgent after coming back from injury and how he played last year. Yeah, he's an absolute no-brainer. I'm going to go to the forward group, I guess, because we've only done goalies and D to this point. I think I got to go with Jack Hughes. I think that's a pretty obvious one here. Assuming he's not injured come Olympic time, Case, and maybe you can inform us how his health is going this season. But yeah, Jack Hughes, if he's healthy, is an absolute no-brainer on this team. What do you think?
Yeah, I mean, he seems like he's on track for the 6-week timeline, so should be back for the Olympics. We'll see how that goes. Yeah, I mean, I think he's got to be on this team, and I think you got to play him with Austin Matthews. He needs that Mitch Marner, as you can see with how it's been going in Toronto, and Jack Hughes is pretty close. It's insane what impact Jack Hughes has to the team. And we were talking about this on the weekend. Mm-hmm. He's, I'm throwing him in the ring of most valuable player to his team, because with him in the lineup, they were a top 3 team in the NHL. And since he's been gone, they are a bottom 3 team in the NHL. Stats like controlled zone entries, puck possession in the offensive zone exits, neutral zone play, like literally every metric about controlling the puck, creating chances, and scoring goals, it all goes through Jack Hughes. And without him, the team struggles. So you just have to have him on there. I know he probably didn't have the best Four Nations face-off showing, but at the end of the day, he's got to be there.
Yeah, for sure.
Yep.
All right, I'll stick with forwards, and I will say that Matt Boldy is an absolute lock and needs to be on this team. He was so good for them at the Four Nations. He's been so good all year long. He's part of that core in Minnesota and just brings so much to the table. Just a volume of shots and chances and goals.
Yeah, legit player. Billy Guerin loves him. You'll see there's a few wild players on this team, and we'll be getting to another one shortly. But yeah, Matt Boldy is an absolute lock for this team. And USA, like, they're kind of like shockingly young, at least the team I think we're going to put together, but like young, explosive, fast. Like, that Four Nations team was pretty damn good. And, I'm not saying the Canadians were lucky to get out of there with the gold medal, but it was certainly very close. And if they meet at the Olympics, I'm sure it's going to be a really close match as well. So yeah, Matt Boldy, total lock for me. Who you got next, Harp?
I will go with Kyle Connor of the Winnipeg Jets. You look at this guy, one of the best goal scorers in the National Hockey League. You need goal scorers on your team. It's as simple as that. And Kyle Connor, that's what he does. Elite player, and he's a lock for me.
I had him in my Four Nations questionables section as potentially an open spot. But at the end of the day, Harp, I did put him on the list. I mean, 97 points last year. He's lighting it up again this year. You really need that preful of points, but at the moment, I'm like kind of penciling him in as an extra. And they did scratch him for a game
Yes.
at the Four Nations. He put up 1 assist and kind of was invisible for a lot of that tournament.
That's true.
And that's what had me kind of questioning his situation. But at the end of the day, I had him on this team, so I'm there with you.
Yeah, I was going to bring that up, Case, because he was scratched for Matt Tkachuk in the final game, I think, right? And that was when Tkachuk played like 6 minutes or something because of his injury. And everyone was saying after the fact, like, oh, they probably shouldn't have played Matt if he couldn't play. So that was a bit of an interesting decision. But yeah, Kyle Connor is a sick player. He'll be on this team, I think, for sure.
Yeah.
Whether he plays every game, I don't know. But he'll certainly be on the team. Okay. Talking about the Minnesota Wild before, I'm going to go with Brock Faber. I think it's a no-brainer to have him on the team. And potentially, in case we're talking about this on the weekend, will he play next to his brand new teammate, who is the opposite-handedness of him, in Quinn Hughes? That could be a potential Makar-Taves situation for Team Canada, where you take two guys from the same team who are familiar with each other, play together, and snap it around on the back end as a top pair. I could see it. I think Brock Faber is an absolute slam dunk to make the team.
Makes a lot of sense to just keep carrying them together. Absolutely.
It does make a lot of sense, but can you put a better pair together than Quinn McAvoy? Is there a better combination?
That's pretty good.
Team? That brings, you're checking all the boxes there.
That is pretty good. You know what, though? When I was like preparing this list and I saw that McAvoy was one of the 6 players named to the team already, like I'd kind of forgotten that happened. And I was like, oh, interesting. Like, is McAvoy one of the 6 best players for USA? I guess like probably, right? But it was just interesting that like he was there and, you know, a guy like Jack Hughes, for example, wasn't named to the team. So I don't know. It was interesting. I do think Charlie McAvoy is that good, but it was just interesting to me. I don't have him in my head as someone who's leaps and bounds like better than some of the other guys, you know?
Really tough luck with injuries too the last couple of years for McAvoy. So good to see him back and healthy. Just came back to the Boston Bruins and obviously a huge part of this team. Sorry, Case.
No problem. I was going to move on to the next pick here because I think that there's 6 defensemen who are locks, and I would just pencil them in as, you know, starting games, and then 2 positions wide open on the defense. But my next lock here is actually the last minute add-in of the Four Nations face-off, and that's Jake Sanderson, who is having a phenomenal season in Ottawa. And really everything is coming out of him in Ottawa right now. Just the first pass he has. He's great defensive as well, soaks a ton of shots, a lot of takeaways, just plays a very well-rounded game, a ton of minutes, and then a volume of shots coming from him from the point, creating a lot of chances. So I really think that they like what they saw from him at the Four Nations face-off, that last-minute ad, and I think he's got to be a lock on this team now.
He was a terrific fill-in at the Four Nations for Team USA. Didn't he score a goal in that gold medal game as well? Do I have that right?
I think
so. Yeah.
And, you know, Ottawa has been in a bit of free fall here after a strong start, but Sanderson has been one of their few bright spots, absolutely. And such an elite skater. Love watching this guy. So absolutely, he's got to be there.
For sure. Comparable to a guy like Thomas Harley, who is a late add-in, but then is, you know, put on this massive stage where you get more eyeballs watching you and everybody kind of sees like, oh, wow, this guy, you know, he's young, he's quick, he skates well, he snaps it around like he belongs. He doesn't look out of place. So yeah, Sanderson being on this team makes a ton of sense. And similar to Harley on Team Canada, where, you know, kind of lesser known, not saying Sanderson was lesser known, but kind of flew under the radar or maybe didn't seem entirely ready until you put them on that big stage. Everybody got their eyeballs on them, and it's like, wow, these kids can play. Okay, who's up now? Is it me?
I think it's me.
Okay,
I just
Okay, you go, Harp. Who you got?
Okay, this is
It's
where
getting tougher now.
Yeah, this is
I
where
think
it
there's
starts
one
to get
guy on here
interesting.
I can't believe no one has said yet, but we'll see.
Which color?
Which color?
He's in white.
Okay. I'm gonna say.
Yeah,
Sorry.
I know who he's talking about. I think.
I think so too. Jake
He
Gensel.
led the team in scoring. Yeah, like
I'm gonna go with Gensel next. I mean, talk about a guy that just scores, produces. He's been a consistent producer his entire career. Great again for the Tampa Bay Lightning this season, and one of USA's top producers, like you said, Case. So yeah, glad we guessed right there. Jake Gensel, absolutely.
Yeah.
Outside of Zach Werenski, who led the tournament in points, Jake Gensel led USA in scoring for forwards with 3 goals and assists. He also played 21-16 a night. Like, they just put him in every single situation on the ice, and they trusted him, and you could see that he was kind of their outside of the Kachuk and the Kachucks and Eichel, like he was kind of their guy.
Yeah.
Well, again with Team Canada, like we talked about all the connections to John Cooper, the head coach, and the head coach of Team USA knows Jake Gensel pretty well too, and that's Mike Sullivan. So I think it'd be safe to say you can expect him to play a ton of minutes again every night for the US here at the Olympics.
For sure. And as we know, he is a playoff mutant too. Like, he's an absolute killer in playoffs. Always has been. That's why when he was originally traded to Carolina, we were like, this is the perfect guy. Like, he's going to produce in the playoffs. And obviously, like, that didn't end up working out. Goes to Tampa. But yeah, like, I watched the Leaf game against Tampa last week, and yeah, Gensel is like one of their best players at all times. And Four Nations was great, like you said, Case. So yeah, absolute no-brainer to have him here on this list. I thought that's who you're talking about. Makes a lot of sense. Now, I think, is where it gets tough. And we're down to, what do we got here? Like 6, 7 forward spots left, 2 defenseman spots left. So,
like, to me, it's wide open at this point, honestly.
Well, it depends what direction they want to go to. Like, there are some young players, some more experienced players. I mean, some guys who were there on the Four Nations team, a lot of guys who were not. This is a tough decision, but I do feel confident in this pick, in taking the first guy who is not on the Four Nations team. In case I said it to you over the weekend, I am certain that this player will be on the team. Maybe I shouldn't be so certain, but I think he should, and it's Matthew Knies. I think he brings an element that a lot of other players on this list do not. He is a bull in a china shop. He is young and he's willing to bang and crash, but he can also play up and down the lineup, whether it's in a finesse role or a checking role. Like, he's defensively responsible, playing next to Austin Matthews on what is Toronto's best defensive line. So yeah, I think Matthew Knies checks a lot of boxes here for Team USA. And I think he just brings that motor that they kind of need and want from someone playing in their bottom 6, because I think that's where he will be slotted. And maybe it's with Austin Matthews, on a second or third line. Like, I could see it. There's the familiarity there. They've played together now for 2 seasons. Depends what they want to do, but I think Matthew Knies is a perfect fit on this team.
He's the only player not from the Four Nations face-off that I put in an almost lock position. So I'm right there with you. I can't imagine a world where Matthew Knies is not on this team.
Harp, you feel the same way?
Oh, I absolutely. Big fan of Matthew Knies. And again, just kind of brings a bit of a different element. Size and, is just that prototypical power forward that every team needs. And certainly don't think he'll be the only big player on this roster.
Well, Harp, I'll stick in that same vein, and I'll say that Tage Thompson is going to be on this team.
There you go.
There we go.
I mean, the guy is massive, but the way that things are coming together for him, he's playing great. He's playing with an edge, which obviously, that USA loves that now. And he's physical. He's large, and the rink being small plays very well to his game because he is a puck controller. He has phenomenal hands, positions his body well, and shields guys off, and is also large. I've said that 3 times now.
Large man.
It's important. So
scored. Go ahead.
The fact that he fills space so well and then also has these silky hands and great in tight, it's going to be very good for this tournament and for the Olympics, for this ice that they're going to be playing on.
Well, and I think the knock against Tage, going into the Four Nations last year was that he hadn't played a lot of big games. Well, you look at his summer and he gets the gold medal winning goal, first time in 92 years for Team USA at the World Championships. And to me, I was like, that alone right there should put him on this U.S. Olympic roster. And like you said, Case, he's been playing great for Buffalo, has won a couple of games in a row here. So yeah, I'd be shocked if he's not on this team. And even Elliot Friedman did say that he thinks Tage Thompson's going to make it. So there we go.
The big man with the silk hands. I think it was crazy that he didn't make the Four Nations team in the first place, because I think at the time, wasn't he leading American players in goals at the time of the Four Nations team was picked? Something like that. Like, he was right up there in terms of goals and points. And the knock on him isn't that, he's not talented or can score. It's that, can he do other things? So yeah, I think Tage Thompson is a guy who can fit into this team, play in the bottom 6 if you need him to. He's big, he can get in the fight, and yeah, he's also pretty nasty, as we've seen. He can blast the puck, he can dangle. Like, makes a ton of sense to have him on this team. I
could be butchering this or talking out my ass here, but I'm pretty sure he's 3rd in US goals in the last 5 years or something like that. I remembered some stat like that, like at the time that the Four Nations team was picked. He was up there in goals or points or something, but I couldn't remember exactly. But you're right, Harp. You're good. You're smart to bring up the gold medal winning goal, because now he's done it. Now he's played in those big moments, and he has something to show for it, because, sure as shit, he hasn't done that for the Sabres, unfortunately.
and that has to thanks, Chad.
Sorry.
And that's and that has to matter, right? And another point to that too is you look at the comments that Dylan Larkin made last year about how more guys, more of these big names need to go to the World Championships and represent Team USA. And Thompson went and made his case to be on this team. So there we go. Sticking with the the vault here of players that weren't on that Four Nations roster. This is a guy who is a forward, big body, again, pure goal scorer. Couldn't believe he wasn't on the Four Nations team, and honestly was shocked at how it really wasn't talked about. That's Jason Robertson of the Dallas Stars, one of the hottest players in the NHL right now, a big part of just an absolute juggernaut that is the Dallas Stars. And again, was really surprised how little it was talked about him not being on that Four Nations team, but he absolutely should be on this U.S. Olympic roster.
3rd in the league in goals right now, tied for 10th in points. He's been kind of automatic. Have him in NHL Fantasy Stars, and he's a stud for me. I think at the time of the Four Nations face-off, he was in a bit of a slump and was struggling that season.
That's true.
He is so back, and he is a responsible two-way player on top of that. And I think it's become clear that you need that on these Olympic teams. You can't just have a team full of pure goal scorers. You need guys who can do both, and he does both very well.
Yeah. This is a guy, sorry, Chad, we have to remember, this is a guy who was a Hart Trophy candidate a few years ago as well.
Mm-hmm. That is true. That is true. All I was going to say is, Case, you look at this crop of players, right? And so many of them can score and produce points. But at the Olympics, you're trying to find those guys who can do both. And that's right up Jason Robertson's alley. If you're looking for guys who could just score, you could bring his brother and Nick, and he could score the gold medal winning goal, but you'd have to scratch him the game before. And then he came back into the lineup and he'd score for sure.
Yeah, light a fire under him first and then maybe.
Yeah, old scratch and score Nicky Bobby. That's what they call him in Toronto.
Oh, jeez.
Yeah. Okay. I'm next. And yeah, boy, these decisions are getting tough. I was going to pick a forward, but I just don't know what direction I want to go with this. So I think I'm going to pick a defenseman. I hope it's sort of a safer pick, despite the fact that there's only 2 defenseman spots left. I'm going to go with a guy who has totally changed the opinion about himself over the past 2 seasons or so. And that's Seth Jones. Since he's become a Florida Panther, I think his perception around the NHL has entirely changed. He's playing big minutes for a really good team. And yeah, he's all of a sudden become like a staple of what that team is all about. And I think he fits right in on Team USA's Olympic roster. What do you guys think?
Well, I mean, so far we haven't picked a guy I didn't put on my personal roster, so we're on a roll here. And I thought the same thing of Seth Jones. Everything changed when he went to Florida, and it's all for the better for him.
Yeah.
Yep. No, totally. A lot of people were down on him, at the time of that trade, and he was arguably their best defenseman in Florida's Cup run last year. Just absolutely terrific. That trade has kind of worked out for both sides, but especially for the Florida Panthers. Seth Jones is back to being that elite blue liner that he was projected to be when he was drafted 4th overall by the Nashville Predators. So he should absolutely be on this team, definitely.
Yep. Okay, 1 defenseman spot left, 3 forward spots left, guys. It's getting tough.
Yeah, it is getting tough. I'm going to stick to the well of players that were at the Four Nations face-off here. And we kind of mentioned him, Chad, on the weekend and thought maybe he's questionable, but I inevitably kind of put him in the almost lock position. And that's Dylan Larkin. I think he's got to be on this team. Just what he brings to the table is very well rounded. They played him a ton on like the penalty kill and kind of all situations last year. In the Four Nations, he played 16, 12 a night, a goal and assist in the tournament. Kind of, he was always there, and he was playing a lot of speed. He brings that leadership as well. I know almost everyone on this team does, but at the end of the day, I think Dylan Larkin's got to be on this team.
I don't disagree. And we were talking about a case like he's greasy. He's willing to go into the fight. Like he's willing to give you a cheap shot if it means, putting his team ahead in some way, willing to dive at times if it means getting a power play. So yeah, I mean, he's a greasy player, but he's all heart. And that's kind of exactly what you want on Team USA. Also plays all positions, really. Like, you can stick him on the wing if you want. You can have him be a defensive center. He can kill penalties. He can chip in offensively. Like, he kind of does it all. And then on top of that, brings that leadership, being a captain in Detroit. So, yeah, I mean, we were talking about him over the weekend, kind of down on him a bit, like calling him out for being a bit greasy. But I think he fits right in on this team. And, I think he should make it.
Elite speed, leadership, I mean, all the things you guys have mentioned. He's got some bite to his game. One of the elite U.S. players in the NHL. So absolutely.
Yeah. Okay, Harp.
Gosh, 2 forward spots and a defense spot. I will go to the blue line for our last spot on defense here. And
dicey.
This is a guy who is an elite NHL defenseman year after year. He's been so consistent, even, at 35 years of age now. And that's John Carlson. I think definitely should be the final defensive ad here for Team USA. I was pretty surprised that he wasn't selected to be on the Four Nations roster, as you can see. And as I brought up before, very surprising that 0 Washington Capitals players were selected for that Four Nations tournament last year. But Carlson is just, he's a guy for me that is one of the most underrated players in the National Hockey League. He is so good. He's been so consistent over his career, and it just seems like he's never really brought up in that conversation of elite NHL defensemen. Guys, and he's having a heck of a year this year. 24 points in 28 games and a +10 for the Washington Capitals. So I think he's got to be on this team.
I'll tell you, Harp, this is the first guy off my board, off my personal roster, but he was right there. And it was the position that I hemmed and hawed about the most was the kind of the 8th defenseman. There's like 5 guys I put in there at one point. I even considered like a Brett Pesce. I think I've seen him on our list here, but just for that defensive aspect. But you're right. He's having a killer year. Age is not slowing him down, and he has been just consistent in the NHL for so long. And I kind of always think of him as, that Team USA defenseman, but yeah, he was left off before, and I can certainly see him on this team.
Yeah, I mean, the fact that he's having such an incredible year this year at 35, after doing it for his entire career, like just being a point producer on the back end. He's won a cup. He brings that leadership. Like, it makes sense. He fits in. I just wonder if USA, similar to our Canada prediction last week, I wonder if USA tries to go younger on the back end and bring some kids who, might not necessarily play every game or even any games, because there are lots of extra players on these rosters. And, if everybody's healthy, maybe everybody doesn't play. But I just wonder if they bring in, maybe it's a Jackson Lacombe, maybe it's a Lane Hudson, maybe it's someone younger like that to just, slot in, give them that experience. I don't know. But then it would seem egregious to leave off John Carlson, not only on the Olympic team, but also on the Four Nations team after the season he's having this year. So I don't know. It's a really tough position. I think whoever is picked in this sort of 8th D-man spot probably isn't going to move the needle because everybody on the back end is so good on this team. Like, it's not going to be a major drop off no matter who you take, Yeah. So it just depends what direction Team USA goes in, because I think, they're kind of at a fork in the road. Do you bring the guy with experience, or do you try to give it to someone younger?
I've kind of buried the lead a little bit here, actually. And the guy that I had on the team, I'm going to say it here. John Carlson's not even the best USA-born defenseman on his team.
Oh.
And the number 8 guy, the 8th defenseman I had in this position was Jacob Chikrin, who has also had a phenomenal season.
Yes.
He's a dual citizen, right?
Yeah, completely controlling the play.
Yeah.
When he's on the ice, I think they have like 71% of the goals when he's on the ice. He has 12 himself as a defenseman, 26 points. I guess I don't know which team he chooses when he goes to play, but the fact that he's not on our Canadian or USA roster is pretty crazy.
It is crazy.
It's a good call, Case.
I think he leans Canada for international play. Does he not? I think because I've heard his name come up for Team Canada over the past couple weeks, almost a month now, like because he's been playing so well. But I do know that he's a dual citizen, so he might have the choice. And similarly, Lane Hudson is a guy in a similar position. We know that his dad came out and did an interview after he didn't make the Four Nations team. You guys remember this? And his dad was like, well, their mother is Canadian, so maybe we go play for them. So, yeah.
Yeah. I guess that's my bad. Kind of think of him as an American defenseman, but I guess he played for Team Canada U18. So
okay, well there you go. I was thinking he leaned Canada, but I wasn't exactly sure. And by the way, I don't think that means that you can't switch. Like, I don't know what the rules are on that, but I mean,
I just think that the way he's played this year, he should be on one of the teams, and we put him on neither. So it's
yeah, fair. Another guy is Joey Decord, who's a dual citizen.
Yes.
We talked about, and has been really good in Seattle. So yeah, there's a lot of guys like this who could kind of go either way. But yeah, but just back to this point, like we're taking John Carlson here as our last player. I just wonder if Team USA is thinking in the same vein we were with taking, Celebrini and Bedard and guys like that on our Canada team. If they look at this and go, what about a Jackson Lacombe? What about a Lane Hudson? Like, get those guys the experience, and because they're going to be the future of the program.
I just think that on this Olympic team, both Canada and the USA, you either have to be the best at what you do, at your thing, or you have to be very well-rounded and very complete player.
Mm-hmm.
And you have Quinn Hughes. He's better than Lane Hudson at passing the puck. So where do you go from there? I mean, Zach Werenski led your team in points last year with 6 assists. Do you need more guys like that, or do you need more guys like McAvoy and Slavin out there?
That's fair.
Yeah.
And I think that's why I would have went with Lacombe, because he's bigger than Hudson. He can play defensively. I think he fits in a bit better. And listen, you need insurance for your top guy, like Quinn Hughes, God forbid, for Team USA. Like, say he goes down with a massive injury and can't play in the Olympics. Do you have insurance? On this team, yes, you probably do. You've got Werenski, who led the team last year in points, like you said, and is like, a point per game defenseman. You have Brock Faber, you have Jake Sanderson. So do you really need a Lane Hudson to quarterback a power play? Probably not. But that's why I leaned Jackson Lacombe when I was putting together my team as the last defenseman. But at the end of the day, guys, like, we're talking about some really good players, and there's only a few spots available here. So it could go to whoever is playing best on December 31st when the teams are submitted, right? Like, I'm sure there are some tough decisions being made over the next 2 weeks here.
Totally. Oh God, I feel like a clown now just reading Jacob Chikrin Conversations in Canada. I mean, I think he should be on our Canada roster. But
it's a good call. Like, I totally forgot about him. He's been incredible this year in Washington.
He really has.
Probably their best defenseman. Yeah, definitely. By the way, too, I made an error earlier. John Carlson, a +7 this season. I was looking at his penalty minutes, which is 10. That's my bad. So
I can't believe you just did that.
Unforgivable.
I was going to read up after, and you would have heard about it. Would have had to bring in HR for that conversation.
Yeah. All right, guys, we got 2 spots left here. Who's up? Is it me?
You.
Or who picked?
It's you, which means that I have to pick the last
Case has
player.
the hardest pick.
That's
here
tough.
we
in the
go.
Draft. Oh boy. Okay, so we've got all our D-men, we've got all our goalies. We're just looking at forwards here. Boy, this is tough. Like, you look at a guy on that list like Patty Kane, you wonder if he comes back to Team USA. You look at a guy like Clayton Keller, who's been just legit. Cole Caulfield, dangerous scorer. Alex Tuck, more of a well-rounded guy. Logan Cooley just got hurt. I think he's expected to miss 6 to 8 weeks, so who knows if he's even back in time. That probably hurts his chances.
Not looking good.
Then you got the guys who were there last time, like Chris Kreider, JT Miller, Brock Nelson, Vinny Trocheck. God, this is an impossible task. I don't know what they're going to do here.
It's tough.
I think I'm going to have to go with JT Miller. I think, listen,
I was hoping you weren't going to pick him so that you make my pick easier, because it's got to be him.
I think it's got to be JT Miller. As I look at this list, like, he was there at the Four Nations. He's having a terrible down year, but in Vancouver for all those years, and even before that, he is the straw that stirs the team's drink. And I think he's going to be an important player for Team USA if he does make this team, because yeah, he's able to drag guys into the fight. He is a very fiery leader, obviously the new captain of the New York Rangers. It's not going so hot there so far, but yeah, I think he brings a lot of experience in some big games. And yeah, he's a guy who can kind of just mix it up and be greasy. And I think you're going to need that. And Team USA certainly has a lot of guys like that. And of course, he can chip in offensively too. So yeah, it's not an easy decision for me, but I think JT Miller probably has to be there. What do you guys think?
Yeah, no, I had him on this team, and for all the same reasons. Like, I don't think that this guy can fight for you in the Four Nations face-off, and you end up not bringing him. And like,
Yeah,
he's
exactly.
the leader type. He's an absolute spark plug, for better or for worse, when it comes to, you know, on the bench or in the change room. And he does bring a physical play. He played a decent amount for them last year. I keep saying last year, but I mean at the Four Nations face-off.
Yeah,
and
it feels like forever ago now.
Yeah.
But I think it's got to be JT Miller. Physicality, offensive upside, although he's having a bit of a soft year in terms of scoring. He just brings so much to the table. He's been around for so long. He's played so many minutes in this jersey. It's got to be him.
Yeah, and talking about Case, I mean, you mentioned how can you not bring him back after he fought for you in the Four Nations? Well, we didn't pick Sam Bennett on our team last week for Team Canada.
Pick Sam Bennett. I know.
That's people didn't like that. There were some comments saying exactly what you said.
Pick him.
So I mean,
the guy
I don't
is
know.
Clutch on top of like just being a dog. But hey,
yeah,
I wasn't there, so I don't get my say.
Fought for Canada and just won the Conn Smythe Trophy.
I cannot believe
and we
you guys
didn't
did
pick
not
him.
take him.
Oh, can we load up a time machine and go back and redo that?
No,
Oh,
we're
gosh.
keeping Nick
Conn
Suzuki.
Smythe winner.
We're keeping Nick Suzuki.
Oh, God. A couple of boneheads. Case, this is why we need you here, pal.
I need to keep you guys in check. I need to say a Russian should be playing on Canada or
Yeah,
American playing on, I don't know. Stupid.
another dual citizen.
Yeah.
Oh, boy.
Yeah, Dan
Okay,
Healy
who's
should
the
be
last
playing for
guy going to
Germany.
be here? Who's the last guy, Case?
This sucks. I don't want
This
to
is
make
tough.
Yes. Tough.
To me, I've got it down to 3 players.
Okay.
I've got it down to Cole Caulfield,
Mm-hmm.
Alex Tuck,
Oh,
or Vincent Trocheck.
okay.
And at the end of the day, I'm going to do the incredibly boring thing.
No,
And I'm going to say that they stick with Vincent Trocheck on this team. Kind of just fills a strange gap on this team. He's the guy they want taking face-offs along with the JT Miller, as well as plays penalty kill, plays that defensive style. And for some reason, management around the league loves this guy, as well as like every insider. I don't know. He's got a pedigree that people like, and also playing for the New York Rangers with a certain coach. I think it makes a lot of sense for Vincent Trocheck to be on this team still.
it's true.
Yep.
I didn't put
was
the coaching
going to
thing together. Makes
totally.
sense.
I was going to say Trocheck too. Just very reliable, two-way forward, can win you face-offs, leadership. You know, I think if Miller wasn't named captain of the Rangers, I think it would have been Trocheck. They were considering him, and he's a very important piece there, very important piece for Mike Sullivan, as you mentioned, Case. So,
Somewhere right now, Adam Fox is punching holes in the wall because Harper left him out of the captain conversation, and his name has not even been mentioned for this roster by us yet.
No.
So
Yeah,
he's
but
punching holes
there's
in
a
the wall.
reason for that. He was on the Four Nations team, and boy, he didn't look good one bit. He looked soft out there. He looked kind of lost. He looked like he had been leapfrogged by some other defensemen, one of which being Jake Sanderson, who played really well and earned his way onto our predicted Olympic roster here. So, Yeah, Vinny Trocheck, that's kind of the boring pick, but I made the boring pick with JT Miller as well. So, like, these two guys, they're veterans, they're best buds, and they go way back, and they play together now in New York. Probably makes sense to have both of them there. But when you look at the players who are left off the list here, some offensive dynamos like Clayton Keller and Cole Caulfield, I was wondering if anyone was going to go to Cutter Gauthier. I know his name has been getting some buzz for this Olympic team just because he brings a bit of that different element, similar to a guy like Matthew Nyes. Like, he'll run you through a wall, but he can also chip in offensively, and he's got the young legs and whatnot. So that's someone I considered as well. Sucks that Patty Kane isn't really in the conversation anymore. I put his name there, but it's kind of past his time. Trevor Zegras has had an incredible year, but if you're thinking about taking Zegras, you're going to take someone like Caulfield or Keller. Like, I think Keller might be the biggest snub, honestly. Like, he's such a good player.
Yeah,
so
Keller's probably the best player out of this entire group. No,
I think so.
I would say so.
Yeah, it feels like he's right there, but then you've got to find a place for all of these guys to play too. Like, that's the thing. You want the best players, but as we talked about, you want guys who can do it at both ends of the ice. And I don't know if Keller can do that better than, a JT Miller, for example. So that's, even though he brings more offensively, I think he gives way defensively a little too much. So,
and with a guy like Caulfield, does he find himself on a power play if he makes this team?
Yeah, PP2 maybe.
Like, maybe. So
yeah,
that's his value is that
same with Kreider,
shooter on the power play. And
and it's like, which sniper would you rather have? Cole Caulfield, who's 5'6", and he can get you 40 tucks, but he's not really going to do much of anything else. Or a guy like Tage Thompson, who blasts at 110 miles an hour and can do it on a power play. And, he's also 8 feet tall and can bully you too. So I'm not saying those two players are like directly in competition, but they're both snipers. They're totally different players, but they're both snipers. And I feel like, I lean one over the other for a few of those other reasons.
Totally.
So, let's look at our team right now, guys. Anyone we should switch? Like, any second thoughts? Like, we can do it now because we can't do it once we finish the episode. Like, is there anyone we should switch?
I'm good with this.
I think that there's still a world that Adam Fox makes this team.
Mm-hmm.
But
because of who the coach is?
Yeah, I'm pretty... Yeah. And, I mean, he's got a long history of being a very good player. A top 5 defenseman in the league every single year. But I think we all had that taste of the Four Nations face-off that had us leaving him off here. And I completely understand that, but he's still a stud. He's still a point per game player or defenseman in the NHL right now.
Yeah,
that's true.
And no mention of Noah Hannafin either. Another guy who, pretty damn good defenseman here. It could very well be the case, guys, that they just take the same 8D that played for them at the Four Nations face-off, and just include Jake Sanderson. Like, it's not a lock that Seth Jones or John Carlson or any of those other guys are on the team, right? They could just take the same 8 that showed up for them at Four Nations.
Well, again, like going back to last week when we were trying to assemble Team Canada, Chad, I know that's something that I continuously brought up is that, it sounds like they're going to bring back the same 8D or close to that they had at the Four Nations. And I could totally see this happening as well with Team USA.
Mm-hmm. My only gripe with our team right now, I think, like, the more I look at it, I think Clayton Keller's got to be there. I don't know where. I don't know who I would take off. Maybe it's Vinny Trocheck. I don't know. But I think he's got to find his way on this team. I think he's just too good. But it's tough, right? Like, these are the tough decisions that, keep guys like Billy Guerin up at night. So,
yeah, like, to me, a guy you could maybe take out for a guy like Clayton Keller is, this might be a bit bold to say, maybe a guy like Kyle Connor? Maybe?
Yeah, we picked him early. We picked him really early.
Like, Case wasn't so sure about that pick earlier. I don't know.
Well,
I just
neither
it's
was
so
Sullivan
hard.
at the Four Nations.
That's
My
right.
questionable players from the Four Nations was Miller, Nelson, Trocheck, Kyle Connor, Fox, Hannafin, and Swayman.
Yeah. Okay, well, I think we did a pretty good job. I think this is probably the team we're going to go with, unless there's any last-minute substitutions that need to be made. But I think this is it, guys. What do we think? Are they better than Canada or not?
We'll see who gets Jacob Chikrin. I mean, at the end of the day,
The sweepstakes.
It all comes down to him.
Yeah,
maybe he plays for both teams. We'll see.
never know.
Love those, like, saw like a couple funny like reports. Like, it might have been on that NHL humor account on Instagram that after the photos went viral of Jack Hughes and Tate McRae out on their date, that Canada has McRae being like a spy so that she can like get some of the game plan from for Team USA for Canada. So I thought that was pretty funny.
Yeah. God. All right, boys. Let's okay, next week we'll do our World Junior prep.
Yeah.
And that's where we'll go from here.
An episode of course, that we look forward to every year. So World Junior preview coming up next week. We'll be recording that on the 21st, of course. That'll be out on the 22nd, the Monday. And then we'll be taking our holiday break. So, hey, thanks for all the support, so far. And as we get close to the end of 2025 here and get into the holiday season, one more to go before the new year. So thanks for the continued support, and thanks so much for listening to this episode 259, done, ready to go, and looking forward to talking some World Juniors next week, boys.